Greetings and salutations, mortals. 'Tis I, Naszvanu here, and welcome back to part 6 of What If Naruto and Menma Were Twins. Just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. And so, we begin. The sound of birds chirping and rustling of leaves filled the blood-tainted air around Team 7. Still exhausted from their encounter with the devious opponent. A low vibration began to energize the field, causing many of the leaves on the tree that held the youthful ninjas to fall around them. A small fruit came tumbling down, landing on the head of the rose-haired girl, causing her eyes to flutter, her consciousness returning. "Ow!" yelped the kunoichi as a sweet apple rolled onto its side. "Oh man, how long were we?" began to question Sakura until she suddenly felt a sense of panic engulf her. The squirrels! Quickly patting herself and breathing a sigh of relief upon finding that she was still in possession of the 2 scrolls needed to pass this portion of the exams. After composing herself, she began to tend to her still unconscious companions, while Sasuke seemed to be in a comatose state due to the bite from the androgynous serpent man. Naruto, on the other hand, was unconscious due to the tampering with his Jinchuriki seal. Diligently, Sakura dressed the shoulder of the Uchiha boy, while making sure the 2 were hidden amongst the leaves, just in case an attack was imminent. Several minutes passed, and a frightening sight revealed itself. Another foreign shinobi team. Amongst the group was a bandaged man with drape-like sleeves, a black-haired lady, and a similar hair-colored soundman. The 3 gazed murderously at the currently weakened Team 7. "It seems our intel was correct," said the hunched-over boy, the bandages covering his lips curling as if moving with his sinister grin. "I would expect nothing less," replied the kunoichi of the group, placing her hands arrogantly at her sides, staring down at the other girl. Crap, not in hell, my chakra hasn't recovered yet, and Naruto and Sasuke are helpless," she thought in a panic as she got to her feet and raised her kunai. "Stay away!" shouted Sakura, fighting off the nerves that were currently overwhelming her, gulping audibly with a sweat droplet running down her cheek. She began focusing on her remaining chakra with her free hand. "Sorry, but this will be the end of the road for you," replied the bandaged nin, chuckling beneath his breath. The other 2 giving vicious smiles as they jumped into action to assault the green-eyed Genin. "Water style! Hidden mist!" announced Sakura as a thick fog overtook their surrounding, completely masking the Konoha Genin. The 2 attacking sound ninjas crashed into each other as their vision was completely clouded. Upon landing awkwardly on the ground, the 2 bickered with each other due to their own failures. However, the leader of the group scanned the area attempting to track down their pink-haired adversary. "That's a nice trick. I have a better one." The leader of the Soundnin then reached upwards, revealing a large metal gauntlet. Using his open hand, he struck the metal with a kunai, which sent a wide shockwave through the field. "Excellent! There!" The man threw his blade toward a seemingly random section of the mist, which was followed by the other 2 doing the same. After a few seconds of silence, he believed to have gotten the frightened girl. "Dosu, if she's dead, shouldn't the mist have gone away?" asked the kunoichi as she cautiously walked towards the location they struck. There they found the body of the girl they were chasing. She laid on the ground with whitened eyes, 3 kunai embedded into her chest. "Fool," said the soundman as she kicked the arm of the corpse in disrespect. Though, as soon as she did this, the body melted and transformed into water. "What the heck?" she exclaimed as suddenly a barrage of water pellets hit her in the back of the head, sending her crashing towards the ground. "Idiot!" yelled Dosu as he ground his teeth in frustration and began running into the mist itself to assist in the attack. "Kin!" yelled the boy with spiky black hair upon seeing the barrage of water strike down his companion. "You bitch! You'll pay for that!" spat the boy as he brought his palms together and aimed it to the origin of the water pellets. "Decapitating airwaves!" he exclaimed as a sudden ray of high-pressure air and sound blasted through the mist, but ultimately missed its mark, breaking through the trees. Before the man could react, a large log came swinging towards him from the side, colliding with his ribcage, causing his boy to ragdoll until colliding to a bush. Sakura seemed to breathe a sigh of relief from above as she was able to do some damage to her assailants. Though, just as she let her guard down, Dosu appeared from behind her. "You really think it'd be that easy?" Swiping his gauntlet, he let a large pulse of sound waves that blasted Sakura back down to earth. As she crash landed, a loud crack could be heard, which was quickly followed by a painful scream. My leg! Damn it! Cursed Sakura with slight tears welting in her eyes. She bit her lip hard, causing it to bleed slightly. The mist then began to dissipate, and from the ground, the two other shinobi began to rise to their feet. Dosu then appearing between them. "Where's the Uchiha brat?" asked the bandaged boy, smiling from ear to ear as he gazed upon his handiwork. "What do you want with Sasuke?" she replied with a defiant yell, lifting a kunai to defend herself. "To kill him, of course." The words spewed from the sound nin caused Sakura's heart to sink as fear now overtook her once more. Before anything else could occur, a familiar voice made itself present from the trees. "My dear Sakura, I have come to your rescue!" announced a thick-browed shinobi known as Rock Lee as he appeared in front of Sakura in combat stance, facing the sound ninja. "Wait, you're Lee? Rock Lee from earlier," spoke the pink-haired girl as she embarrassingly had to fight to remember the boy's existence. "Yes, it is I, the handsome taijutsu specialist of the Leaf, Rock Lee!" he said proudly, only for both Sakura and the opposing kunoichi facing in turn, repulsed by his statement. The green-garbed boy rapidly charged into the sound trio, appearing by the spiky-haired male and sending a roundhouse kick in his direction, his heel impacting the nin's jaw. Then quickly, using the momentum of the spin, he continued his rotation as he rocked the kunoichi off her feet, then following the hit with a punch to her abdomen, sending her to the ground once more. While Lee was fighting the two sound ninja, their leader, Dosu, took the opportunity to attack the unguarded shinobi, charging at Rock Lee with a devastating elbow strike. He managed to block it with his dexterous arm, deflecting the attack, though a sudden ear-rupturing sound struck him, causing ears to ring and bleed from the onset of the hit. The change in pressure in his eardrum caused him to lose his balance. Taking the opportunity, Dosu struck hard with the backhand, which caused Lee to tumble. Sakura from afar cupped her ears, attempting to protect herself from the reverberating sound, but still felt the effects even from this distance. What is this?" yelled the recovering Leaf Ninja as he got back to his feet, his senses now affected by the strike. "My ace in the hole. And I think it's time you see what happens when you get between us and our target." The leader lifted his arm to once again use a sound-based attack, but at that moment, Lee suddenly vanished. "Where did he?" questioned the sound-in until he felt a kick impacting him from below, sending him skywards. "Front Lotus!" shouted the animated boy, following the skybound shinobi. Lee wrapped his opponent in bandages and began to direct him back to earth. From the ground, the black-haired boy cupped his hands together and managed to blast a stream of air to the landing spot, softening enough for the leader of the sound trio to survive the landing. After the impact, the green-garbed boy attempted to get to his feet, but recoiled due to the impact. Due to the dust being lifted, the sound ninja who apparently got knocked out by this attack emerged and quickly took down the taijutsu specialist. As the odds began building against the Leaf Ninja, a large boulder-like object began rolling down the area, nearly running over the bandaged boy. Just as Lee had appeared to help Team 7, it seems that more reinforcements arrived as Team Ino, Shika, Cho had arrived to save the day. The members of Team Asuna began facing off against the three sound ninja for several minutes, nearing a stalemate. At one point, Dosu had been frozen by Shikamaru's shadow paralysis jutsu, though due to the struggling sound nin and his chakra was being drained incredibly quickly. As the warring teams continued their battle, Rock Lee's teammates, Neji Hyuga and Tenten, had arrived to aid their ally. Due to the large commotion within the forest, the hidden away Sasuke had begun to awaken. Slowly bringing himself to his feet, the black-haired boy shook his head until his focus had returned. His eyes locked on the many ninjas fighting in this vicinity, but from the corner of his eye, he could see Sakura on the ground, injured. Clenching his fist, the Uchiha survivor activated his Sharingan immediately, and on his shoulder, a black seal had begun to form around the area he'd been bitten. Sasuke tilted his head, making his neck crack loudly, causing the enemy nin to notice his emerging presence. Immediately upon looking onto Sasuke's form, the spiky-haired nin attacked, blasting a ray of sound waves towards the black-haired boy. Swiftly dodging the invisible beam of sound and wind, the boy seemed to vanish from sight, appearing behind said attacker. Suddenly, the clearly angered boy gripped the sound nin's wrist and wrenched the boy's arm and forced him to the ground. Sasuke forced his heel between the four nin's shoulder blades, still gripping his arms. "You will pay," said the boy dressed in blue, his words dripping in venom. "Wait! Stop! No!" The Pin's boy's eyes widened as panic began to ensue, trying to force his opponent off, but it was much too late. A blood-curdling scream came from the Sound Shinobi as his arm now lay beside him, his own scarlet life essence splattering around the ground. The surrounding nin stopped dead in their tracks as he stared, speechless, at the red-eyed boy, a black pattern wrapping around his face and body. "Saku!" yelled Ken as she sprinted at full speed towards Sasuke, attempting to avenge her injured companion. Swiftly, Sasuke dodged the attack and elbowed her in the temple, causing the girl to drop immediately. Stepping forward, his clothing now stained in blood, the Uchiha boy held murderous intent as he began closing the gap between him and Dosu. Just as he was about to jump into attack, Naruto had come to and shouted loudly, "Sasuke! What the hell?" Chastised the blonde Uzumaki, barely standing as he forced his weakened body towards the group. Sakura covered her mouth, her skin turning pale from the frightening sight before her. "Sasuke! Stop it! Stop!" thought the cherry-haired blossomed youth, staring at her blood-splattered teammate. Naruto's call caused Sasuke to come to his senses. As his bloodlust mindset seemed to have been dispelled, he suddenly felt a sharp pain on his shoulder, his arm reaching towards the source of the pain. The sensation was such that it made him drop to one knee. The black pattern then seemed to shrink and return back to the bite mark, turning to a small seal that sat above his skin. Dosu thought quickly, realizing that this would not be a winning encounter. He went on surrender to the Leaf Ninja and left their skull in a gesture of good faith. While Zaku's arm had been severed, the other two Soundin managed to wrap up his dismembered side, taking the severed arm with them as they ventured within the force of death. After recovering from the ordeal and sharing gratitude to the other Leaf Ninja for their assistance in their time of need, Team 7 then made their way to the end tower at the end of the test area. Upon arriving, they were met by a few teams of shinobi that had successfully passed their ordeals, obtaining 2 scrolls, returning with their lives. Waiting patiently for the final teams to arrive, Sakura was being tended to by some medical ninja as her leg appeared to be broken. This seemed like the worst thing that had resulted from the ordeal, until Desu and Ken arrived, holding their third companion in their arms, his eyes shut, his skin a lifeless pale white. The boy known as Zaku had died. The sight of death, which had been directly caused by the last remaining Uchiha, made Sakura's stomach churn, while the brooding boy stayed calm and collected, unbothered by the events at hand. Due to the large number of shinobi that successfully passed the force of death, the examination team decided to have a sort of preliminary tournament before the finals that were to proceed in a month's time. Before the combatants were set to face each other, the health of some of the nen would have to be inspected. Sakura would be disqualified from the continued activities due to her broken leg, while a bespectacled boy resigned his place in the upcoming tournament, though his reasoning seemed rather vague. After several minutes, the combatants were set, and all stood in the rafters ready for their battles as they had been announced. Sasuke was first at bat, and he handily defeated his opponent, Yorio Akado, much to the older team's frustration. Though this short encounter, the pink-haired Kunoichi cheered on her teammate as she rested on the crutch. Naruto, on the other hand, remained silent, something that was fairly uncharacteristic of him, his mind still set on the violence he had witnessed earlier. Ino was set to fight against Ken of the South. She decided to fight the foreign nin on behalf of her old best friend. The two girls shared a look of mutual respect before the blonde Kunoichi made her way to the center field to face her foe. The two Kunoichi's fight was to a near standstill until the blonde managed to take the black-haired girl off guard, catching her in her possession jutsu, forfeiting the fight on her behalf. The two old friends embraced in joy, seemingly starting the path to heal their fractured friendship. At the end of the semifinals, the following shinobi had fought successfully to move on to the final step of the Chunin exams: Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, Gaara, Neji Hyuga, Ino Yamanaka, Doso Kinuta, Tamari, and Shikamaru Nara. Following the events of the semifinals, the proctors informed the 8 Genin, who would have 1 month to heal and practice their skills for one final encounter to gain the rank of Chunin. Sasuke and Naruto went separate ways. The Uchiha boy underwent direct training with their Jonin teacher Kakashi, as the blonde spent time training by his own deep in the forest around the village. The orange-clad shinobi of Konoha spent day in, day out, training with a multitude of clones, trees being broken down by powerful wind currents being blasted from the blonde. During a particularly intense training session, a rather imposing silver-haired individual made his presence known. Emerging from the shadows, his arms crossed, and a devious smile on his face. "I finally found you, kid! Don't you ever go home?" asked the man, smoking Naruto to the point of getting blasted in the face by one of his clones that utilized a mighty gale palm, sending him flying across the field into a tree. His breaking concentration caused the clone to disperse. "Hey, geezer, you made me mess up!" shouted the boy angrily as he rubbed the back of his head, attempting to relieve his soreness from the impact. The man chuckled as he approached the fallen boy, outstretching his arm to assist him to his feet. "Maybe if you were paying more attention, you wouldn't have gotten distracted," replied the silver-haired man. The blonde grew rather irritable, slapping the helpful hand away and getting to his feet. "What do you want, old man? I'm trying to train," said the boy, crossing his arms and looking away using a rather disrespectful tone, which was met by a punch to the back of his head. "It's obvious you've been living without any parental guidance. Has anyone told you to respect your elders, Naruto?" Scolded the man at the boy, who was now squat down, holding his head tightly, trying to suppress the pain. "Ow! That hurt! What did you—" The blonde began complaining until he realized the man knew his name. How do you know my name?" asked the boy, baffled by the interaction, though his hands never left the bump on his head. The two spoke sitting cross-legged across from each other, not leaving the vicinity as the man known as Jiraiya spoke. "Well, you could consider me your godfather," explained the man with a proud smile on his face. The image of his late protege Minato Namikaze flashed in his mind. The resemblance between the young boy in front of him and his father was uncanny, which nearly made the sage grow emotional. "I've never heard of you. You know, the only family I have at this point is my brother Menma. Though, I haven't seen him in a while," commented the boy, his words showing disappointment at the recent distance between he and his brother. "You and your brother are the reason I'm here," stated Jiraiya, which caused Naruto to look up in confusion. "Your brother is involved with a very dangerous man. We need to get him out of his grasp before it's too late." The man's tone grew serious at the mention of his godson's current superior, the change in tone alone causing Naruto's mood to shift. They spoke for a great deal of time as the elder briefed the blonde on the situation, the history and rumors surrounding Danzo, and very lightly touching on the relationship between the silver-haired shinobi and the twins' father. "At this point, Menma must have been trained to the bone in the Anbu, and be on another level of power for someone of his age," said the man as he rubbed his chin as if analyzing the situation. Then suddenly, he got to his feet and smiled wide. "That settles it. From now on, you will be my disciple." This took the boy off guard, dragging his body back with an odd look on his face. "Naruto, let's bring back Menma. Together." The man outstretched his palm once more, now his eyes showing honesty and convictions. "You better not be lying," replied the blonde as he took the hand and was lifted back to his feet, now joining his godfather for the training of a lifetime. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. Hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a primary channel called We the Celestials. We the Celestials is what we do here already, but their content centered around the crazy world and lore of My Hero Academia. So please check us out over there if you're feeling in the mood for a roller coaster of quirky content. We also have another relative to our channel, Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series guaranteed. I'd like to let you know on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 and older to join our crew. You can find us on our Discord, which you can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits? All you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whichever category of work that fulfills your interest. We're always looking for members to join us. Well then, that is it from us for today's video. So I thank you for watching, and have a phenomenal day.